So welcome to anybody new who came in for the Zoom portion. I will reintroduce myself. My name is Lisa Patterson. I am the Vice Dean for Career Services here at UB Law School and am in charge of much of the administration of the Career Fair. We're in the 4th year of the Career Fair and we're really excited that people continue to come and participate with us. And this is our 2nd year of doing it virtually. So we use Zoom as our platform as we are doing right now. And I know that some people, Luchelli was telling me she mainly uses WebEx, and I know I've been on some things with Teams through the court. So I know Zoom isn't always everyone's first tool. So I wanted to just go through some of the very basics of how things will work on Zoom. Generally, but also specifically for this fair. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and speak up or put your question in the chat. I have that open so I can watch it. Let me start with specifically how this fair is going to work next Friday. So we are going to be open. In other words, your links will be live and people will be visiting you in your Zoom space from 1 to 5 next Friday. Every employer or organization that is participating will have their own Zoom address. In other words, they'll have a room very much like this that they will be in charge of and be the host for. And I'll be sending you your link over the weekend, probably by Monday. But you'll also be able to access that link from the main page. So the website that you went to register will be transformed into the launching page for the event. So every panel that we're doing, every video that we're offering, and all the links to all the employer rooms will be visible on that page, and you can click through those as well. So not only can you get to your own room from there, but you'll be able to pop in to visit somebody else in their room. So if you know somebody at one of your other organizations that you want to say hello to, you can click on the link from there, and you can also come to some of our panel discussions that'll be going on. So it'll be very easy to navigate around, and it will be easy for our participants as well. So we have coming up on 250 registered applicants from all over the country. We were talking about different schools. We have people coming from the West Coast, the East Coast, Texas, Michigan, Harvard, Yale, state schools, rural schools from all over the place. And we've given them the opportunity in their registration to upload a resume and also a short statement of their commitment to the work. And I've been seeing some of them come in that are really, really compelling in terms of why they want to do this work and why they want to be in New York and what opportunities they see. So I think you'll see a great selection of people that will come through clicking on the links for your offices and coming into your room to visit you. So what it'll be like in the room will be very much like this. You'll sort of be where I am, and as you all were coming in and out of this training, the visitors to your room will be coming in and out of your room as well. We will also have a central gathering room, which will be open all day. Myself or someone else from my staff will be there to answer questions if anyone's having technical difficulties, or sometimes the students have questions about, hey, this just happened, what should I do? Or if you want to just come in and it's been slow for a while and you want to see if there are any students in there that might want to engage with you, or you want to talk to us, you can certainly join us in that room as well. It's kind of like walking around the room if you were at a in-person job fair. So it worked out very well last year. People told me afterwards that it felt very much like an in-person fair, even though it was all on Zoom. So I think it may feel a little bit more interactive than you might expect. So with that said, does anyone have any questions about the general format before I get into actual Zoom details? All right.
I do have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, Jerry. Hi.
Hi. So if no one is in your room and you want to visit, like you said, another provider's room and just listen in on who might be speaking and see maybe you like a name and want to contact the person, how do you know if someone comes back into your room and that you need to go back to your room?
That's a good question. So You normally, I think the normal setting is that there will be a chime when somebody enters your room, like a doorbell, it sounds like. What you can do, I think you can be in 2 rooms at once. So you can leave your room open while you click on a link for one of the other rooms. I don't think you can do more than 2, but you could say, keep your earbud in so that you can hear the chime if somebody comes into your room while you're in the other room. Other people who are uncomfortable with trying to juggle that sometimes go into the other rooms, maybe on a mobile device, just so that it's absolutely clear that you're in 2 different places. But, and that's true even if you're not in the other rooms, but you may want to do something you don't want to stare at your screen the whole time, or you're wandering around your office. If you can just hear what's coming out of your speakers and there's a chime, you'll know that someone's coming in.
So how do we know what the procedure is to go to somebody else's room? I mean, where would we learn how to do that? I mean,
so the procedure to go to someone else's room would be, so on the main website for the career fair, all the links will be showing to all the different rooms. So all you have to do is click on the link for that room.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Could I ask a quick question?
Sure.
I don't know if I came in a little late, so I apologize if you've already addressed it.
No
I've
problem.
never done this before. So I'm just wondering, will we know in advance who has signed up for resume and statement before I get involved? I have trouble doing too many things at once.
Right. So we will be sending you, we had a cutoff deadline for registrants yesterday. And so I do have a list of almost, I think it's 245 applicants that I'll be circulating to all of the emails of the people who were the main sign up person who registered for the fair. It will have a link to all of their resumes, their statements, and we've also asked them what regions of New York they're interested in, so you can filter them out based on that if you want to just make sure that you're focusing on the ones that are from your area. We will not know who's coming to your room per se, like we're not scheduling them as interviews. We only know that they've registered. So the reason we give you the list is so that if you really want to, and you saw a few that were particularly interested in something relevant to you, could reach out to them and arrange for them to meet you, or encourage them, or if you miss them on that day, you do still have their contact information and their resume, if you wanted to use that as a database for applications.
Okay, thank you. And just one other follow-up on that. If 2 people are if 2 people want to come into the room at the same time, would they then, is it appropriate where you would be conversing with both of them at the same time? Is that recommended, or how do you? Maybe I'm flattering myself in my office by saying we'd have 2 at the same time.
No, it's definitely a consideration. It's very similar to, if you were standing behind a table and there's people milling around in a room and come up to the table at the same time. I would sort of try to think of it that way. There's tools available that I'm going to show you if you want to avoid that. If you want to just let it be free and open, you can make it much more of an informational space. So if you're really mostly talking about your organization and sort of selling that and talking to them about that, you can always choose to save any of the individual interview type conversations where you would be talking to the candidate directly. You could schedule those for later if you wanted.
Okay.
Call. Or what some employers will do, if they have the staff or they have the time, if you can bring more than one person, you can set up a breakout room so that, and I'll show you how to do that. I know Legal Aid Bureau in Buffalo does this, where they bring several attorneys, so that if there is someone that they actually do want to just sort of step aside and talk to privately, they will send an attorney and that student into a breakout room to talk privately while the main room is still sort of full of people talking generally.
Okay, thank you.
That's a tool available. You can also set up a waiting room where you only let one person in at a time and people have to wait in line to get in. So that's another way to do it. Those are great questions. Thank you. Anybody else before we get into the nitty-gritty? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I have some slides, if you will, on what it looks like in Zoom. I'm just gonna, it's kind of slow. Let's see too. Want to present for me? Okay. So how it's going to work, I'm going to, can everyone see that slide? I don't know what's happening to my presentation there. Okay, I'll just leave it like this. So how it's going to work, you will have an assigned Zoom link, which, like I said, I will be giving you. I still have a few that are being set up here by my IT people, but as soon as I have them all, you will get one. And at the very least, you will be able to click through on the day from the list online, but you will get them ahead of time. The first thing that will happen when you click in is that because we're setting up the links for you, you will not, in Zoom, you have to be what they call a host to have all the powers to use the room to its full advantage. So the first thing you need to do is to be made a host, not a guest. So we're going to have helpers coming around 1 o'clock. We'll sort of be monitoring when people are showing up into their rooms. We'll be there a little bit early too. Just to make sure that you're able to do it, I'm going to show you how to make yourself a host. It's really easy, but otherwise, one of the helpers can also do it for you when they show up. As I said, we will have the main gathering room. So if anything is happening in your room that is not working, you can pop into that room by just clicking on that link on the website, and someone will come right over and help you. So we'll have a lot of places for you to get help with that, but you'll be making you a host the very first thing. So all the tables, as I said, will be on the website. This is the link to the website. You probably have it already because you registered there, but that's where it is. So let's go ahead and get started. So
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure, Jerry. Mm-hmm.
When I use Zoom, I usually use it full screen. You keep talking about the website, getting the links and things like that. Should I not be full screen so I have the website available, the web page available, or should I have it on a separate, like my iPad?
No, you can definitely use it full screen. What you'll do probably is just go to the website to get your link, and then once you're in Zoom, you really won't need to leave again, and you can leave it on full screen. And if you have to move around, you can always get out of full screen, to do what you need to do.
Well, like you said, if you needed to get help, you go to that link. If you want to go to another room, you go to that link. So you just get out of the full screen and go to the links, and then go to the other.
Yeah, and what it'll do usually is minimize your open screen, like to the bottom while you're working on something else. But you should be able to get around pretty well. Okay, so for those of you, if you use Zoom, Jerry, and some of you have used Zoom, I'm not telling you anything you don't know with this slide, but basically the first thing you do is you unmute yourself and you start your video, and you've done that already because you've been interacting with me here, so you know how to do that, but that's where those are. Then the next thing that we're going to do is a lot of the powers that you have come up under the participants section. So when you're looking at the bottom of your screen, there is a participants link, and it's a strange place to put some of these powers that you have, and I'm not sure why they put them there, but that is where they are. So I point that out because it's not obvious. When you first log on, you will not be the host yet. So what you will do is click on participants and then click on claim host. And claim host, when you click on participants, is down on the bottom right-hand corner. And when you click on claim host, it will ask you for a number. It'll ask you for a code. And in our directions that I'm going to send around to everyone, oops, I keep doing that. The code is going to be 654321. That is, it's no surprise, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 backwards. The reason we did that is because Zoom does not let us use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They find that too obvious and it's not secure enough, but somehow or other we're allowed to do 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So that was the next easiest thing we could think of to use. if you certainly will have that information now, if you lose it or you forget it, we will be around, and I can come in and make you the host as well. So you should have someone visiting you to help you with that. But if you're independent and you want to go in and have everything all set up yourself, click claim host and put that code in. Okay. So now once you're in, you will have access to all of the different tools in Zoom. So the communication side of things should be pretty good. So the first thing is, if you can, if you haven't used Zoom before, definitely take advantage of the fact that your name and picture are customizable. So once you're in, you can click on your name, again, in the participants section. So if you open if you click on participants, it will open this window here. And if you click over your own name, it will allow you to rename and edit your picture. And there are some reasons to do that. One is you obviously you want people to remember what your name was, especially if you want to keep in touch with them. But you can also add other information there. So a lot of times, especially if there's more than one of you in the room, it may be helpful for you to identify that person's unit or title if it's different. If they, I use it for pronouns a lot of times. If someone has a different function, like interviewer versus host, that's something you could put in the in your name section. So it doesn't have to be literally just your name. It can be used for other pieces of information, and that's helpful, especially as a very, very quick way to convey information on the screen. But at the very least, put your name down. I would suggest the way you want candidates to refer to you. So if I put Lisa at UB Law, they have no choice but to call me Lisa, and I have to be okay with that. If I want them to call me Vice Dean Patterson, I would put my name down as Vice Dean Patterson, which I probably wouldn't do. But that is your option. So do be aware that that can be a very powerful thing to change when you first get into your picture. I have my picture on as my picture, but there's also other things you can do with your picture. If you stop your video, your picture is what shows up instead of you. Right now, if you don't have a picture in, your name shows up as big white letters. But if I were to stop my video, you would see whatever I've set as my picture. I find sometimes it's helpful to shift my picture to something that says I'll be right back, because if I do step away, it will show my picture as this little sign. So that's really helpful. And I think also, if you don't want to use your own personal picture, you can use the logo of your organization or something else that you like as an image. But just know that you have the power to use that if you want. And that's also in that participants screen. I know you've all probably done this. Things that you can do for your the people in your room. You have power over the people in your room as the host. So if you are the host and you click on the participants, you can see I clicked on my second iteration in there who's not a host. I can ask them to turn their video on. I can chat with them. I can make them the host. This is what I would do when I come in to visit you. If I needed to make you the host, I could do that. Be aware, if you make someone else the host, you are no longer the host. So don't do that unless you really want to give away your powers. But basically what you'll do is, if you click on these three dots down at the bottom here, you will see all kinds of powers there. This is also where you can turn on your waiting room. You can turn the doorbell sound on and off. It is set to be on, but if it's annoying you when people come in and out, that's constantly chiming, you can actually turn that off. So there's a lot of powers in there when you click on these three little dots in the bottom. The other window that opens on the side on the right is the chat window. And so down here at the bottom, you'll see that there's a chat button. If you click on that, it will open a little window underneath your participants window. If you click on it again, it disappears. Same with participants. This is where sometimes in these situations, if there's a lot of people talking, There may be somebody who feels like they can't get a word in edgewise, so they may put something in the chat as a question, or you may find that there are things you want to do in the chat, like file sharing, that make more sense over there. So just be aware with the chat. There's a lot of things that you can do. You have control over the people that are chatting if you need to. You can save the chat for later if you want to keep track of what people have said to you. You can also upload documents as well. So you can click on the little document sign, which I'll show you in a minute. Be aware too, there's a button here that says who you're chatting with, where it says, see where it says me to everyone. You can also do to one person, so that'll be private just to them. Be aware that I did this yesterday by mistake. Someone chatted with me privately and then I replied to everyone. Luckily it wasn't anything serious, but you have to just be careful that you are replying to who you want to be replying to in the chat. But chat can be very, very powerful, and along the lines of what we were talking about with DEI, it's a great tool. Sorry about that. It's a great tool for people who may or may not feel as comfortable as others speaking up, but also have very, really important questions or comments to make, and that's a good vehicle for them. So chat can be great. So go ahead and click on that when you get in so that the chat is open and you can see what's happening. So this is how you direct chat with them. You click on their name. The file sharing will be turned on as well. So what you will do if you wanted to share, let's say you have a brochure on a certain area of practice that you want to share with your visitor, or they have a resume they want to share with you that may be updated from what you might have gotten. Either one of you can click on this little file icon and it will bring up a place to surf for where that file is saved on your computer. You'll click open and it will go in. It'll look like this little Ashley Baxter resume here. It'll appear, and for one of you, whoever's getting it, will click on it, double click on it to save it. Now I will say this will not be saved with the chat. So if you save the chat, this will not come with it. So if you want to save it, double click on it and save it separately, but everything else in the chat will follow it. So any questions on those basic communication tools? I'm sure most of you have used these. But it's just good to know that there's certain ways to use them you may not have thought of before. Okay, so just a few things as you're sort of marketing or displaying your space. A lot of times, a great way to market your organization when we're in person, people bring all kinds of decorations. They may bring brochures from their Chamber of Commerce to talk about what great, fishing and hiking there is in their area, or how beautiful it is in the winter. On Zoom, you have to figure out how to do that. We don't have swag that we can give away or big posters that we can put up, but there's lots of things that you can do on Zoom. So just a few things like this, just so that you can tell what things look like. Be aware that for your own view, there are ways to adjust what you're seeing, which may help you during the day. So if you click right here on this speaker view, gallery view, this will allow you to either see a big picture of the speaker when they're speaking. The gallery view gives you like the little boxes of everyone. And there's lots of other, you can do the full screen as well, and be aware that that's something that you can adjust. Also be aware that these walls are movable. I didn't realize this for the longest time. So the wall between the participants little box and the picture is movable, as well as the vertical box. So if you hover the mouse over this line between the black part of the screen and the white part of the screen, it'll have this little cross with the arrows on it. And when it turns into that shape, if you click on it, it'll allow you to slide the wall back and forth to make the display of the people bigger and the display of participants smaller, possibly, or vice versa, depending on, I found that very helpful sometimes if I'm having trouble seeing everyone, or I'd really just like more room on one side or the other. So that's helpful to know about, and I just wanted to point that out because it's a little secret that sometimes people don't realize. The video settings. This is one of my favorite things about Zoom. once you are in and you are the host, you can put backgrounds up and use your background as a way to also convey messages to your visitors. So the way to work with your video settings is that next to the stop video, the little video icon, is a little up arrow. If you click on that arrow, you'll get a little menu, and the video settings menu is there, as well as the choose virtual background menu. So we're going to click on the video settings, and it'll bring up something that looks like this. The reason there are two pictures here is because you have to scroll down. The first one is the top half of the screen, and the second one is the bottom half of the screen. But here's places where you don't really have to mess with too much of this, but there is a place where, like, mirroring my video means that if it was actually taking a picture of you the way you look to the camera, you would look opposite to yourself when you're looking at yourself. And so what this does is it makes it easier for you. Like, I'm looking at my right hand on my right now, but if it were mirrored, it would be opposite. And it would be really distracting to me. So that's why I have mirror my video on. Touching up my appearance just makes you a little bit more fuzzy and maybe more flattering to you. I like touching up my appearance more often than not. So there's a lot of things you can play around with and see what looks good. And so that's open to you if you want to look at your video settings. Most of them should be set up pretty optimally for you to start with, but if you want to just toggle things on and off and see if you like them better, you're welcome to click there. The more fun thing is if you go back to that same little up arrow and go to the choose virtual background section. This is my favorite place to play. And this is where I came up, I have my nice dark blue background with Lady Justice behind me. You can put your own picture back there. So Zoom usually comes with a few stock pictures, but you can also click on this little plus icon, and this little add image, add video will pop up. And so if you click on add image, it will ask you to surf on your computer to where your images are saved. And you can upload pretty much any image you want there. So if you have a beautiful picture of what it looks like in your region of the state, and you want to put that behind you, the picture I have in the little insert there is I live near the Niagara Gorge, and so that's a picture of the Niagara Gorge behind me. But you can also put your logo. You could put a message. You could put the Great Pumpkin. You can put really whatever you want back there, and it's a great way to convey information that you don't have to keep saying over and over again. Some people even sometimes put a message behind themselves if they have a good image of that. And so all you need to do is have an image, you can save it to your computer and then click that little plus button and add that behind you. If you have a powerful enough computer, you can actually also put a video. So you can add video and it'll play behind you. It will literally, like there's one that makes it look like you're on a roller coaster. You don't necessarily really need to do that, but it is an option. Those are turkeys that come to my bird feeder at home. I have a little video of them that I use sometimes. So why would you want to do some of this stuff? We can also screen share. I actually should have put a slide in that shows you how to screen share. Those same, we go back to this. The same little buttons at the bottom here, there's a share screen button, the screen button that's showing. So if you click on share screen, it will show you some options of how to, what screens you have open that you'd like to share. Why would you want to do that? Certainly, if you wanted to run a video, say you have something on YouTube or something that you have saved to your computer, and you wanted to show it to someone in your room, you could share your screen and run a video. You could also, if you needed to step away for some reason, you could leave something running there, or you could do a presentation to people that would run by itself if you have a video prepared or something that you have recorded that you want to show. You can also obviously show a web page, a Word doc, a PDF, anything that you wanted to display the same way I'm doing right now. If you had a PowerPoint that you wanted to do, like a 1.5 minute PowerPoint that you did occasionally when you had enough people in your room, you could share your screen. It'll ask you, what it'll look like this, you know, what window that you have open in your tabs you wanted to show people. You click on the one that is what you want to show them, and then click share and it will pop up. And then there's a way to stop share. There's a little bar there that'll tell you that it's being shared and you can stop. I will warn you, you can click on the one that says screen here, this one that's blue. That will actually let them see everything you're doing. If you click on just one of these other ones, it'll only let them into that thing. So if I click on this one that's the PowerPoint, if I were to click outside the PowerPoint, they will not see what I'm clicking on. That'll stay on the PowerPoint. But if I click on the one that says screen, it'll follow me around to everything I'm clicking on. So that may be what you want. It may not be, but just for privacy reasons, just be aware that the screen one lets them see everything. Any questions about decorating your screen or using images? Everybody's good. Okay. So this last part, I think this is the last part, is breakout rooms. So this may be something, especially if you're in the room by yourself all day, this may not be helpful to you because your room is a breakout room. But if you have more than one person with you, or you're able to get another person to help you for a while, breakout rooms are really helpful. What it is it will basically create a second little room that's private that nobody can hear you in or see you in from the main room. It's just like stepping into another room. And it'll allow you to invite one of your candidates into that room to have a private conversation. You can set these up at the beginning of the day. You don't have to do them every single time if you know you're going to use them, but you can also set them up on the fly. So what you'll do is you'll click on breakout rooms in that same place at the bottom of your screen. And this little thing will pop up and it'll ask you how many you want to create. It'll ask you if you want to assign them automatically or manually. In our case, I think manually, because if you do it automatically, what it generally does is it's for if you have a classroom and you wanted to put randomly 5 people in each room, it would just do that. In this case, you want to invite one person into your room and choose who it is. So you're going to assign them manually. You then can hover over the name of your room. You don't really have to name it if it's just one, but I know, for example, Legal Aid in Buffalo may have 3 rooms and they may have Amy in one, David in another one, and Kevin in another one. So they'll name the rooms Amy, David, and Kevin, so they know who's going where. And once that is all set up for you, you will click on open all rooms and they'll be sitting there open and ready for use. See, now these are named. This is my stat, Lisa P, Mark D, and David S. So now that these are open, you can allow people to choose the room. There's a lot of little settings. You can decide if you want it to close automatically, etc. But what you'll see then is how to assign people to it. So let's say there's someone in your room that you want to put in a room with somebody else. When you open up the breakout rooms again, it'll show you where it says unassigned right here. These are the people that are in your room that aren't in a breakout room. So Lisa Patterson here is the person who is the guest. And it'll give you this little button that says assign to, and it'll ask, if you click on that, it asks you what room you want to put them in. So that's where that manual assignment comes into play. So let's see, I'm going to put Lisa Patterson in Mark's room. I'm going to click on assign. It's going to open up. I'm going to click on Mark D, and then I will go ahead and click on that, and it will move them to that room. You have the power to close the rooms. You have the power to message people in the rooms. But in this case, probably what you'll do is you'll give people, they'll have the power to move in and out of the rooms on their own. And so you'll just ask them to join you. You'll put them in there, and then they can come back in and out as much as they want, and you don't really have to control that.
Question?
Yes.
First, I missed the spot where how you opened up breakout rooms. Is that only available when you're the host? Would I see it if I'm not the host?
It is, yeah. So you will not see it if you're not the host.
There it is.
I
Okay,
actually, here it is. It's down at the bottom here. It should be one of your bottom
right.
menu items. If
All
you're
right. My,
it could be under more, depending on how many things you have available down there. Sometimes it overlaps into the more category, but it's usually showing right there.
okay, so my next question was, it's related to the breakout room. So I have a room that people would hopefully be coming into. It's sort of like this situation right here. We would all be able to talk as a group, correct? So it's not,
Mhm.
so if I, in speaking to the group, I could say, you know, I'd like to speak to, you know, A and B privately. If you have a minute, can you go into the break? I mean,
Yeah.
and then just tell everyone to wait. And while I go into the breakout room with one or two people or one person at a time.
Yes, so you definitely could do that. The other thing that you could, you know, it's hard when you're on your own to use the breakout room, because I think, now that I'm thinking, I don't know that it lets you leave the main room if there's only one host.
Oh,
Um,
would you just then let one person into your room at a time
yeah,
to
I
talk to
think
them
that's
privately?
that's where I would, when you click on the participants section, and there's the three little dots, that's where you would select the waiting room option and maybe only let people in one at a time.
And the others would be in a waiting room, not be able to hear or see what I'm
Right.
the conversation I'm having with just one person.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then I would somehow, when I'm done with that person, how do I get another person out of the waiting room?
So when you so here's the little thing where it says enable the waiting room. When you're done with that person, you can, once you have the waiting room enabled, if there are people in there, there will be a waiting room at the bottom of your screen. There'll be a waiting room option that you can click on to access who's in the, it might be under participants too. It shows up in several places, but you'll have a list, you'll see how many people are in your waiting room, and you can select the next person and admit them. There's a little admit button that shows up that lets you bring them in.
Gotcha.
And then if you have the waiting room on, there's a different chime that happens when someone enters your waiting room. So you'll know that there are people also like queuing up in there.
And they would know that they're in my waiting room?
Yes, there's a message that says, you know, the host will let you in shortly.
Thank you.
Those are awesome questions. Thank you. And that was it for what I had to show you. Does anyone have any other questions about how this might all work or how you might work with Zoom?
If we need help, which I anticipate happening, what should I do?
So we will have the main gathering room link on the site as well that you can click on to get into. I'll also be circulating, you can always email me or call me as well on the numbers in my signature when you get emails from me. And I'll be sending instructions with that in it. So we'll all be sort of on alert. We also have our IT department on alert. I have to double check, but I think they had a text number that they were letting us use. So, you know, we'll have a lot of ways to get tech support. The quickest is probably to just leave your room and come into the gathering room to find someone to ask, but you're also welcome to call my direct number as well or text me. So you'll have all that information when I send you your final list. Okay, well, I will assure everyone, last year it went extremely smoothly. I don't want to jinx myself, but there's really not a lot that goes wrong, to be honest. And once you're in, I think you'll find it very smooth. And like I said, if you have any needs or help, there's lots of us that can come in and set things up for you or help you with problems. We have many ways to be reached. And we're just really happy that you're taking advantage of this opportunity, and we're happy to match you with our candidates. And it's really valuable to them and to the practice of law and to public defense generally in a big way. So Thanks again to everyone who came. Thanks to everyone who's listening later in the future. And we will see you at the fair, and good luck with everything. Have a wonderful week.
Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
help.
Thank you all.
All right, Pat.